Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, chapter 938 of One Piece is out. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so because I will be spoiling you. Now that you have, let's begin. So let's be honest guys, complete honesty, full disclosure. The end of this chapter, which was supposed to be surprising, was not very surprising and in fact I think handled poorly. Now, I'm not saying that the reveal itself was poor, there was any particular technical issues. All I'm saying is that from the story itself, it was not confirmed that this girl was Komurasaki. We suspected it, it seemed likely to be the case, but it was not something that was 100% definitive because there was, in various ways, she looked different enough. And so at the end of the chapter, rather than confirming herself as Komurasaki, she instead identified herself as Hiyori, something that was highly speculated. Honestly, it was incredibly telegraphed to the point where, for the last month, I was saying, well, is this too obvious? But anyway, at this point in time, I liked the reveal. I like that it created thought. It made you sort of wonder about what the truth is. You have this girl that we presume to be Komurasaki, not confirmed to be Komurasaki, and at first chance that she has, reveals herself as Hiyori. I feel like the order of events here, the sequence of events, is different to how you would normally pursue this. I think that you would first reveal her as Komurasaki, and then later throw in the hammer that she is also Hiyori, but everything is sort of jumbled up here, it's different. Maybe there's something going on here. Maybe Oda is telegraphing another layer to the story. Or on the other hand, as is always possible, maybe we're just looking too much into it. But the point is that at the end of the chapter, we didn't know. And I like that. There's still a lot of Wano arc to get into. But all of this was sort of thrown out of the window in the next page, which was a map of Wano showing the locations of all the major characters where they are. And you can see clearly that the person with Toko and Zoro is in fact, as illustrated, Komurasaki. It's in black and white and even used her initial design. Rather than reveal her as Komurasaki in the story, it is in this map. I didn't like that. Or at the very least, I should say that I wouldn't really like that if that is all that there is to know and that this is as far as the entire reveal goes. If I'm completely fair, whether it was explicitly stated or not, it seemed very obvious that she was Komurasaki, so the reveal, even as it was laid out, not ideal, is not awful. And so I've spent a better part of the morning thinking about this entire situation and trying to come to terms with what it is that I really think is going on here, what it is that I really want to believe. Is this all there is to know? Komurasaki, here is Hiyori, that is the reveal, and I can't buy it. I still cannot buy it. Now, it might be true, but I just mean that Oda is being deceptively not deceptive, and that in and of itself has my attention. It has been very, very obvious that Oda has wanted us to believe that Komurasaki is Hiyori almost since she was introduced. The amount of clues have been honestly absurd. I follow One Piece clues, I make One Piece theories, I'm very well versed in which theories end up becoming true, which ones become false, how much evidence that they have, and this one was absurdly supported. Anybody at all reading between the lines would have already known and been very much not surprised by the reveal at the end of the chapter to a level that is not common. And usually in a case like this where something has a lot of support, Oda takes a very, very long time to get to that reveal, so by the point that the thing is revealed, we've had a lot of time to forget about it, but all of this has happened in the course of about 10 chapters. So I'm sticking by this, guys. My interest is piqued. I will not let this go until it dies. Komurasaki may be Hiyori, but I have a feeling that there is more to know. This was not a major twist in the Wano arc, but there is a major twist coming for Komurasaki. So to sort of get a feel of what it is that I mean when I say this, an example, an idea that I've heard from Gambia's grandmother on Twitter, and I honestly think that this is pretty interesting, is, maybe Komurasaki isn't Hiyori, but Toko is. I think that we could all agree that Komurasaki, if she is Hiyori, is putting herself in danger revealing that fact to somebody who is an unknown to her, that she doesn't know personally, doesn't know where he stands, doesn't, she has some ideas, right? Zoro saved her, but she should have revealed herself as anybody other than Hiyori. Just say, I'm looking for Momonosuke. I mean, even that fact, even revealing that is maybe too much. The Kozuki are being hunted. It is not prudent to reveal your interests or who you are to anybody, even if you suspect them to be an outsider, unless you know something, and unless you have a backup plan, or some kind of fail-safe. And so one way in which Komurasaki could potentially approach this in order to protect Hiyori is if she is not Hiyori. If Komurasaki is in fact a vassal of the Kozukis, entrusted with the protection of the Kozuki princess, then her getting captured is not a big deal as long as she continues to protect Toko. And I think that this fits perfectly in line with what seems to be almost an irrational, it's not necessarily irrational, it depends on, we need to get to know Komurasaki a little bit further, but for now we don't really understand why it is that she was willing to go to the lengths that she did in order to protect her. That could be easily setting up a bait and switch, and is in fact not all that dissimilar to things that we have seen the Kozuki vassals do in the past, like for instance Kinemon in the protection of Momonosuke lied that he was Momonosuke's father. And I think that this is also, just for me, falls more in line with how I expect theories to become true. They're not. Guys, you'll just have to trust my expertise on these. I've followed theories for long enough. I know how they usually go, how it usually feels when a theory, becomes truth. And this is just way too obvious. It is much more like Oda to deflect as hard as possible from us believing in the truth before it becomes that. Something like telling us that, oh look, if Hiyori was alive today, she would be about 22 years old, immediately thinking Komurasaki, Oda internally laughing, haha, but she traveled into the future and she is now Toko. Get trolled. So whatever her age would have been no longer matters. It's that Oda level sleight of hand. And Oda purposely doesn't show Hiyori and Toki's last moments and her traveling into the future because this sells Komurasaki as Hiyori, assuming that she didn't go to the future like Momonosuke. But earlier I said that it was definitely possible that Komurasaki is Hiyori, and something that I could definitely believe in. Some things in One Piece, some reveals are incredibly obvious. It does happen. But in these cases, the reveals were never meant to be shocking, were never all that important. So if this was extremely telegraphed and extremely obvious, we just have to assume that this isn't meant to be the twist. This isn't meant to be the reveal. It's sort of deflecting us from what it is that we should actually be thinking about. So an idea and a theory that I've talked about recently is the fact that Komurasaki is incredibly influenced in much of her story to lore of the Kitsune or the nine-tailed fox. In addition to this, we do not fully understand how Komurasaki survived being essentially sliced in half, something that will need to be explained. Some power, some trick is involved, the origin of which is not entirely certain. It could be something that Kiyoshiro did, something that Komurasaki did, but the idea that I made in the theory is that this is the powers that she has as a Kitsune, or as a part Kitsune, essentially. The Kitsune's two most prominent abilities are its ability to shapeshift and its ability to create illusions. One thing worth pointing out is it doesn't appear as though Komurasaki has any healing capabilities, else I figure she would have healed Zoro. So the rationalization for this one, guys, is that what Oda is essentially doing with the reveal of Hiyori is distracting us. He's trying to make us think about something that is not important. Once it's revealed, we move on. Okay, all of the mystery of Komurasaki is solved, until you get into something greater. And this one in particular, this idea has implications, because if she is in fact Hiyori, then that would mean that she would share blood with Momonosuke, who might also be a Kitsune or part Kitsune. And you can jump down the rabbit hole from here. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't think that I definitively have the answer for this one. All I can tell you is my own observations, how it interacts with my headcanon, and how I feel. If this was all there was to know, it is, in my opinion, just not very good. It is not up to the standard that I have set for Oda. which is not to say that he couldn't meet it, but as it is, it wouldn't. Oda's greatest foreshadowing and plot twists, which are plentiful through the story of One Piece, and something that he more often than not nails, usually does this very, very well. He reveals enough, or I should say that he hints enough, that when the reveal actually occurs and the truth comes out, it makes sense. But the hints don't immediately draw our thoughts to the truth. And usually these kinds of things invoke a lot of discussion with differing points from both sides, even if some of us happen to correctly guess what the truth ends up being. They don't leave us in a situation where as a community, we're only really thinking one thing. Komurasaki is Hiyori. The only debate to be had in this entire experience is whether or not it was too obvious. So for now, this ranks to me as one of the absolute worst plot twists in One Piece. Something to compare it to might be, Sabo coming back alive and appearing in Dressrosa. But even that, for casual readers and watchers, which Oda does pander to at certain times, had about 200 chapters in which they could forget about it. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it, guys. You're welcome to disagree with me. You're welcome to share your thoughts about it, how you felt about it in the comments. I may be in the minority here. But just to sort of conclude this topic, if I had to stand behind something right now, my personal belief is that Toko is Hiyori. And in fact, if you look at the silhouette of Hiyori from the flashback and you look at Toko's hair, there's some similarities to be found. And I think personally this would be a very interesting direction of the story thematically, if only because Toko was essentially raised in poverty as the future princess. If she ends up becoming that, that would add a very important and intentional dynamic that contrasts the current state of Wano and their disregard of the common folk. But yeah, there's still a few other things from this chapter that I want to talk about. First off, the majority of this chapter focused around the idea and the reveal that Orochi and his forces now know of the plan, they know of the Kozuki symbol, and are rounding up all of their subordinates. The question in our minds right now should be how they obtain this information. Before I thought it might have been Kiyoshiro, maybe you could think Komurasaki, but now none of those seem to be particularly likely. But there has to be a traitor, or at least some ability to acquire information that we are not aware of. I only have two ideas, one of which I believe far more than the other. I thought it was interesting how Shinobu brought up the potential of prisoners blabbing and that they should be silenced. This could possibly be some kind of low-key clue. I don't know who the prisoner would be. I don't suspect Kawamatsu. I don't think that he would talk. Any other prisoner of significance, Grandpa Hyo, I don't think so. So I'm not sure who would be, therefore it's hard to believe this idea. What I personally believe, guys, is I believe in the idea of the traitor of Zou, and I believe that the traitor of Zou has traveled to Wano, and that this plan was leaked from Inuarashi's forces. Now, I've covered this theory on multiple occasions. I'll include a link in the description for those who do not know at all what it is that I am talking about, but it is highly suggested that there might be a traitorous mink, despite the fact that they are shown to be loyal. I think that there is at least one traitor. In my theory, I argue that it is Bariete, the monkey meek, and he is certainly would be the most obvious choice here, but over time, I've sort of gravitated towards another thought, the potential that Bariete is in fact a red herring. He's a decoy, and it might be somebody like Yomo, or Yomu, the giant sheep, for various reasons. But this to me just makes the most sense. Jack knew that Raizo was in Zou. It wasn't just like, oh, we followed him, oh, we happened to see him climb up the elephant. No, he knew without actually having seen him arrive. And the only way that this really works is if somebody in Zou reported it to him, along with a bunch of other hints which allow for the possibility of something like that occurring. And then here we see almost the exact same thing where their plans get leaked. There's an inside man. Keep your eyes open on this one. I believe in the theory of the traitor of Zou very strongly. This would be the natural progression of that storyline. And so lastly, guys, we want to talk about Zoro. And first off, I thought it was interesting that Gyukimaru did not decide to finish off Zoro despite being capable of doing so, which sort of lends to what we were thinking before, that at some point in time, Gyukimaru might end up being a subordinate of Zoro, or at least a supporter of his cause. What I really want to talk about more, though, is his injury. Stated from himself, he received a really bad wound before the final battle even began. He should not realistically be able to heal from this injury in time. So I have two theories on this. First off, it was very, very interesting that Otoko decided to bring up toad oil. We know Usopp. Usopp was the toad oil salesman. There is no way that it does what he says that it does. And in fact, I think that it's going to make Zoro's injury worse. I think that Zoro, this injury is going to fester, and it is really going to hamper him for the majority of the rest of the arc. However, at the same time, I cannot see Zoro not, at some point in time, healing. Because he's got to be ready to fight an opponent that he may not even be ready for yet, let alone while badly injured. We've talked for a long time about the possibility that somewhere in Wano exists Dr. Hiluluk's panacea, the cherry blossoms on top of the mountain. So this is my theory for now. Zoro's wound will not get better. In fact, it will get worse. It'll get infected, fester. Zoro will continue to do amazing things while being incredibly handicapped until he is finally able to heal because Chopper discovers a panacea. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much what I had to say. Very, very curious about the directions of pretty much every ongoing plotline right now in Wano. As always, curious as to what you guys think. Whether you noticed something from the chapter that I may have missed, just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.